Hello, everybody. Welcome to our third part of our webinar series of Tired of Being Tired. And tonight we dive into the topic of disconnection. Thanks for being here live. And as usual, we'll have a nice little chat at the end of the presentation. So if you've got questions or things you want to talk about, we love doing that at the end. So for those of you listening to the replay, welcome to the presentation part, and would love to have you come out live for the next and final series last week so you can hop into the conversation. So we shall dive in. Oh, I have to move you guys to the top so that, there we go. Oops, I forgot to take our initials out today. So what we're going to dive into tonight is a little bit about us, a definition of community, why community is important, how we make lasting change, trusting when your community changes, other types of connection, and then we're going to end with a little water blessing ceremony. And then there's this new TV show on Netflix that's called Living to 100. I'll talk a little bit more about it later on in the presentation, but I thought this was a really amazing quote to start and put everything in perspective. To live to a ripe old age, it helps to laugh a lot, love a lot, engage with your community, and avoid stress. So that's what we're here to dive into tonight. And here's my trusted co-pilot, Angela.
Thanks for that.
Punchy. I've been traveling. I've been flying all day, so you got me a little punchy tonight.
Just a little bit about me. I grew up in Toronto, and I went to university in Western. I went to Western Ontario. I did my honors BA in psychology and minored in ancient history. And then I transferred to University of Guelph, and I finished up my honors there because I wanted to work with a prof. And then I decided that I didn't really know what to do with psychology and ancient history, so I ended up going into HR. And through HR, I fell in love with coaching and counseling and helping people feel empowered and better themselves and better their lives. And so I did some more research on what I could do for that, and so I became an empowerment dynamic practitioner. I'm a certified life and wellness coach. I'm a certified sound healer. And when you talk about sound healing, it's tuning forks. It's working with vibrations and frequencies and balancing out the energy in your body using vibrations, which is sound. I'm a certified Abukra healer, which again, Abukra is an ancient Egyptian healing art, and it's very similar to what you might see with Reiki. It's the same idea as Reiki, only it's taken to the next level. And my whole purpose is just, I'm determined to bring play back into people's lives, because I find that as we get older, we forget how to play. And play is so important for our health in so many different ways. And so that's my goal, is to show people how to have fun, figure out what works for you, and just do it. And of course, I love to travel.
And just a little bit about me. So I have a master's of health science and nutrition. And I used to do conventional nutrition. And then I started to realize that most of the people that I was working with, they came to me because they, had a health concern. And when I really dove into what was going on, a lot of the root of their problem wasn't really that they were eating like the wrong food, or like they didn't know what to eat. They knew those things. But when we really dove in, it ended up being something much, much deeper. And a lot of times it was that people didn't know what brought them joy, and they didn't know how to take care of themselves, like from a self-love standpoint. And so I just found that I couldn't really practice conventional nutrition anymore because it was like a Band-Aid solution. So I would tell people, here's your meal plan, eat all of the broccoli, eat all of the brown rice, eat all of the salmon. And at the end of the day, they would do it for, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months. But ultimately, if we didn't get to that root of really what boiled down to disconnection, they weren't able to make lasting change and really still have a way of feeding themselves that actually brought them joy, which is, I think, part of the reason why we eat. So that's a long introduction to my nutrition. So I'll just quickly add the other piece off of this slide that I wanted to talk about that we'll dive into later on tonight is I've created a framework called the Catalyzing Transformation Through Connection framework. And this really is the result of the work that I've done with clients over the past 15 years, really recognizing that true lasting change really does come from connection. And I would say, as Angela's passionate about play, I am passionate about connection. So a couple of other things that I do is I'm a cacao ceremony facilitator. I'm a ceremonialist and a stone medicine practitioner. So these are all beautiful ways that I like to weave in deeper connection into the work that I do with people. So what are we about? Go for it, Angela. You do this so well.
Okay. So Kat and I were on the beach in Mexico in February, and we were talking about our shared passions and the fact that I love to travel, she loves to travel. I want to learn how to help people to play more and to connect with their magnificent selves. And she's all about community. And as a result of that, we decided that we wanted to create Sacred Explorers. And what we do is, our goal is to help women going through transitions discover the ability to go within, draw on the power in their core, and live their purpose while building connections with like-hearted women. And we'll talk more about that. Our first retreat that we have planned for January, we're going to talk about that at the end of the presentation. So let's dive right in, shall we?
Yes.
All right. So what is community? This is my definition because I looked up the definition of community and I didn't like any of them. So I took a little bit from everywhere and I kind of threw it together. So my definition is, it's a group of people with diverse characteristics who feel a fellowship with others as a result of social ties, sharing common perspectives, interests, and goals, and engaging in joint action in geographic locations or settings. Because, like I said, there were so many different versions of it, but it basically means it's a people who come together who have a common goal, a common tie, and it's usually within a common geographic area. Although now community can be online, so that is sort of evolving as well. And so some examples that I came up with were, your community can be your neighbors. So it can be your neighborhood, can be your community. It could be your coworkers at work. You create a community. Your classmates, if you're taking courses, if you're in university, they become your community. That's who you are around all the time. That's who you interact with. That's who you have common goals and objectives with. Theater cohorts, if you're putting on a play, everybody comes together, you create a community in the theater. And then there's people gathering for hobbies or arts or issues. So that's community. And why do we need it? Well, there's lots of reasons why we need it. The first one is we're social creatures. And so it's important for our mental well-being that we are able to interact with other people. It helps fight feelings of hopelessness and gives us the certainty that we're safe. And also, if you're able to help others, it also will give you a boost. So if you're able to get into a community where you're all working together on something and everybody's able to support each other, it definitely will raise your spirits and will help your mental health. Um, it also helps you feel like you're part of something bigger. If you feel like you're part of something bigger, you don't feel so small and you don't feel so alone. Okay? Next. The other thing that I liked this one actually when I found it. It said communities can influence and motivate us to invest in our well-being and bring positive changes for our lives. And as soon as I read that, the first thing I thought of was the group that Kat and I created, which is called the Sweaty Selfie Society. And the Sweaty Selfie Society really developed because during COVID, people weren't working out, right? People were getting lazy. They were just relaxing. They were eating whatever they wanted. I started working out, and then Kat approached me, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm working out at home." And she said, "I need an accountability partner. Can we do something?" And I said, "Sure. Let's do selfies. So when you finish your workout, send me a picture of your sweaty face." And that's how that started. And then from there, other people started looking at what we were doing. And the next thing we knew, we ended up building this community. So right now we have an online community called the Sweaty Selfie Society because we have men and women in it. And every day you log on there and you see people's sweaty, smiling faces. And it's non-judgmental. And the whole point of it is just to motivate you to do something good for yourself. And then we learn from others too, because we don't only post sweaty selfies. We might also talk about, oh, hey, I just did this new workout and, it's really good for this and it's really good for this and I'm working on my flexibility. And so you're learning from that as well. And again, it helps us understand that sometimes you're really strong. Like there's things that you're really, really good at. And there's things that you might need some help with. And that's okay. Community allows that to happen. It allows you to be there for people because you have your strengths and other people have their strengths, and you come together and you become stronger together. And then because you're able to help people and you're able to draw on your strengths, you're going to become more confident and you're going to feel better about yourself. And then you know what? You're going to try something new because you've got that support group behind you to help lift you and push you through it. And then finally, community brings fun. Brings fun into your life, and that's very important.
Okay, so it's funny, Ange, that you mentioned the Sweaty Selfie Society, because I was definitely going to mention it as well. So when we are facing a time in our life when there's a lot of change, having a community to keep us accountable is key. I think, for me, this isn't just that you have the accountability, but you have somebody that gets what you're going through. I think so often in our society today, when I'm seeing one-on-one clients, I've got people sitting on my couch all by themselves thinking they're the only ones going through the same problem, like the only one struggling with their relationship with their mother, the only one that doesn't know what they want to do when they grow up, the only one who's struggling with anxiety. And the number of times I say to my one-on-one clients, like, you're like the fourth person sitting in that chair who said the exact same thing to me. And it really does, it normalizes that life throws a lot of crap at us. And I think when we can open up and start to share that with other people, it really does, it makes it easier to bear. And it makes it possible to laugh in the face of hardship because you know that you're not alone. So some great examples that I've definitely leaned on in the past and know other people who have. Mastermind groups would be another really great way. So if you're looking to make, career changes or set goals that you've never reached before, and you really need somebody to kind of be like, I'm doing this too. I've had such amazing experiences with mastermind groups. At the gym. So even just if you don't join the Sweaty Selfie Society, I think gyms in general, like I know the old gym that I used to manage, they've got like a personal best bell. And so when somebody like does their personal best, they'll ring the bell and the whole gym like stops and claps. And then I think, a very famous example would be Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. All of those Anon groups provide a huge amount of support for people who are in really raw and tough situations. I think, for me, some of the things around the Sweaty Selfie Society that I'll just share is like, I managed to continue to work out, not every day like my original goal was, but more days than not, through losing both of my parents in the last 2 years. And there is no way that I would have been able to keep to a workout schedule during that time without that group. And you know what? That group became more than just like, hey, I worked out today. They were people that were really in my corner and helping my mental health. And I think that that's what, when Angela talked about humans being social creatures, like our brain actually changes when we're isolated too long. We don't make our happy neurotransmitters. It gets harder and harder for us to keep in a positive outlook on life when we don't have community around us. And then one part that I really wanted to touch on tonight, because this seems to happen to everybody who's making big changes in their lives, is there comes a point when you're going through these big life transitions. So, kids leaving home, getting a new job, starting to be an entrepreneur and leaving corporate, going through menopause, whatever those things are, starting a spiritual practice. There tends to be moments in our lives where all of a sudden we'll look around and we'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't have any friends anymore. Or you might still have the friends, but you'll go out with them and you'll come home and you'll be like, ugh, like we don't have anything in common anymore. And I really wanted to speak to this because it is the natural progression when we're growing and changing and transitioning. Sometimes we need to recognize that it's actually our peer group who can be holding us back from making all of those changes because they like the version of us that exists in the past. They like us the way we are and not the way we're changing into. And so for us to be changing can become very confronting to our current peer group because one, they're like, well, that's not like you used to go out to the bar and drink all weekend with us. And I don't know who you are anymore, but it also can be confronting to them because it also makes them start to look in the mirror and be like, oh, actually, I do want to make some changes in my life. I've been working a corporate job for 20 years and it's time to leave. And I'm not ready to look at that right now. So really just learning to trust this dissolution process and also trusting sometimes we do need periods of being alone. Oftentimes I'll describe myself as a modern day hedge witch. And the concept of the hedge witch is she's very much part of a community, but also recognizes that we need time, like she needs time alone to recharge, to go within, to process what's going on, to integrate, to make the changes. And I would like to encourage anybody going through big changes in their life to kind of like hook on to this hedge witch concept and recognize that there is moments for stillness and quietness and going within. And when you have the right community around you, they actually support those moments when you disappear. And welcome you back like you've never been gone. And that, I think, is when you've truly found your place, you're in your community. They will recognize and accept and love you for who you are and who you're becoming, not who you are and who you were. So just, I really believe when our friend and community group clears out, oftentimes that is the universe making space for more aligned people to come in. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing on here, or just about community in general. Especially when it comes to life changes, you know, a lot of the people that I work with, including myself, we're getting older. Stuff's going on that we've never experienced before. And the number of women who are not saying anything about it is like overwhelming to me. And even Ange and I, like, we talk like almost every day. And it wasn't until we started to put Sacred Explorers together, when we were starting to think about the types of women we wanted to work with, we like, I think Ange just off the cuff one day was like, yeah, it's like, why do I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm just hot? I'm so hot. And then I just roll over onto the other half of the bed that's nice and fresh and crisp and cold, and it's perfect. And we just had such a good chuckle over that. And the reason we laughed so hard is it was so friggin' true. We both are single. We both have queen size beds. And we both were waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and rolling over to the fresh side of the bed. And I just think, like, now, instead of that being like a pain in the butt when I wake up in the middle of the night, I like wake up in the night and I have a little giggle, because I know not only is Angela doing it, but hundreds of other women are out there doing the exact same thing. And I think that that is the power of community, to lighten something that you've never gone through, and can actually start to see some of the humor in it, and also motivate you to kind of take some changes if you want to make some changes around what's going on. So I just wanted to share that. So other types of connection. So this is the framework that I developed after kind of my epic fail at being a conventional nutritionist. So I really encourage people, when they work with me, and even if you don't work with me, just, take this framework and run with it. I really believe that to have well-rounded connection in our life, we need to have these three pieces. So we need to be connecting in, we need to be connecting out, and we need to be connecting up. So what does that mean? So connecting in is looking at your relationship with yourself. Do you like yourself? Can you hang out with yourself? Is it like cool to take yourself out on a date by yourself? We talked a lot about that last week in the pleasing others and putting everybody else first. We encouraged everybody to have a date with themselves. But connecting in is also connecting into your physical body. Are you moving it? Are you feeding it well? It really is just, like, what is that sore knee trying to tell me? Like, really tuning into what's going on with your vessel. And then connecting out is all about connecting out to your community. So making sure you've got, if you do a hobby, that you've got, like, you're not just doing watercolors all by yourself, like finding a community of artists, or finding, going next door and knocking on your neighbor's door and introducing yourself. But it's also connecting out is also connecting with nature and the elements. And this is like, again, like we've talked about, getting out, getting your feet on the ground, getting sun on you, working with fire, earth, water, air, because we are part of Mother Earth. And so we do really benefit by having a connection with nature as well. Like, mental health wise, watching the sunrise, getting like sun on your naked eyes and your naked face, like that actually helps our brain make happy chemicals, helps us sleep better. So it's that connection that we really, really need. And then finally, connecting up. So really fostering whatever your faith is, whatever your belief system is, fostering some kind of connection with the biggerness of it all. So whether that's God or universe, creator, your higher self, whatever that means to you, I find when all three of these connections are solid, and they're not always going to be, well, we're never going to be perfect at anything, let's be honest, but like they're never going to be perfectly in balance. Like you maybe having a month where you're rocking your workouts, but you haven't lit a candle and meditated all month, or you might not have gone outside all month, but recognizing that there is this ebb and flow, but really we need solid connections in these three pieces.
So, how do you decide which community is best for you, or which community you want to become part of? Because it's important, as we just talked about. I mean, community is important for your well-being, but you have to also be part of the right community that's going to support you and lift you up and help you to grow into the person that you want to be. So some of the questions you want to ask yourself is, what are you passionate about? What lifts you up? What lights you up? What do you want to learn more about? You know, maybe you want to crochet, but you don't really want to crochet by yourself. So maybe you want to see if there's a group out there that does crocheting together and you can learn how to crochet. Or maybe, you know, you want to do yoga. You want to learn more about yoga. You want to learn more about flexibility. So you're going to find a yoga group. Or maybe, you know, you need support because you're going through something personal and you just want to know that you're not alone, and so you're going to reach out to a group of people that are maybe going through the same thing and have a support group in that way, and that builds a community. As Kat talked about, you know, you have AA, you might have, I don't know, other groups similar to that. And then the other thing that you might want to say is, you know what, I want to be of service to others, but I don't know what that means. And maybe you want to investigate groups out there that are being of service to others. Maybe you want to volunteer your time at a soup kitchen, or maybe you want to volunteer your time at a donation center, or you know, I mean, the sky's the limit. It's just, you just need to make the first step is to decide that you're ready to expand your circle and you're ready to become part of something bigger than yourself. And once you've made that decision, then the next decision is, okay, what do I want to do? And again, there's no right or wrong. I mean, you can say, you know what, I'm passionate about rocks and I'm going to join a geological society. And you might show up and you might go to 3 meetings and say, nope, this is not my thing. And that's okay. You know, that's not your community. You're going to go out and you're going to find your community. But
And I think that that's what makes it hard, right? Because you do have to put yourself out there again. It's a little bit like being like picked last for gym class again. Um, you know, I think sometimes when we're grown-ups, we're like, oh my gosh, like how can I be in my 40s, in my 50s, in my 30s, and like still feel like I'm in high school and I don't have any friends?
yeah.
Um, you know, and I like just to speak to like how do you want to show up for others in service? So I did this a year ago. I worked with cacao as a heart opening medicine when my dad passed. And it just did wonders for healing my heart. So I wanted to bring that to my community. And I just started. And I think for the first one, there were what, 3 of us there? And I just was like, I know people need this. I know people need this. And now we run them monthly for about 12 people. So also, if you're passionate about something and you know that other people need it, even just being brave enough to start something and to be patient enough to let it grow, I think can really, I think, you know, if there's a hole out there in the world that you can see, um, maybe it's because you're the one that. And I jumped in on your side.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, anything else?
No, just do it.
Let's do it. So we've been working with each of the elements in each of these calls just to get people a little bit familiar with the types of more spiritual type of connections that are really important in the work that we do at Sacred Explorers and in everything I do, let's be honest. So tonight we wanted to do a little water blessing ceremony. So I'm just going to ask to make sure that you have a glass of water. So if you're watching the replay, hit pause and go get a glass of water and come back. Okay. So before we do our water blessing, I just want to talk a little bit about the element of water and also the magic that really can happen with water. So the element of water has traditionally always been tied to our emotions. So being able to feel things deeply, being able to flow, being able to make change by slow, constant flow. Like if you think about the rocks that have been formed by just rivers running past them for centuries. So water allows us this strength through softness and this ability to really tap deeply into our emotions. The other thing that water, I could really talk a long time about water, but I'll keep it short. So we are actually 99% water by molecule. So lots of times people will say we're 75% water. That means like it's a different, like I think it's our volume. But if you actually were to separate us out into molecules, 99% of the molecules in our body are water, which is huge. So remember that when I say the next thing. So I think some of you may have heard of Dr. Emoto, but he took two types of water or 2 glasses of water. And with one water, he said, I love you and you're beautiful and peace be upon you. And he played classical music to this water. And then he froze it. And then he took another type of water and he said, I hate you, you're ugly. He played really heavy metal and then froze that water. And then he took shavings of the water and looked at it under the microscope. And the water that he spoke kindly to, and the water that he played classical music to, and the water that he wished for peace formed these really beautiful snowflake patterns. Like they were just beautiful to look at. And the water that he said, I hate you and you're no good and you'll never be anything, and played the really hardcore music too, it failed to form those beautiful molecules and it just looked like sludge. So a lot of people look at that and go, wow, that's really, really cool. And they forget that we are 99% water by molecules. So if you are spending all day saying mean things to yourself, then you are programming the water in your body to look like sludge and to not be able to form into those beautiful snowflake type crystals. So I really think that's the power of that experiment, is to connect it to what are we saying to ourselves. So water has a beautiful ability to hold memory as well. So the other sciencey thing I'll share, and then we'll do our ceremony, is they took water, just plain old water, in a glass, and they put it on a table. And then in another glass, they put DNA, and they put it down beside the water, and they just left them there for a certain amount of time. And when they came back and they looked at the water, just the plain old water glass at a microscopic level, the molecules had started to arrange themselves actually in DNA helices. And so then they took the container of DNA away, and the water actually kept that DNA spiral in it for a few days before it started to dissipate. So water truly can hold memory, and it looks like it can hold emotion as well. So a really powerful thing that you can do with your water at the beginning of every day, if you want, is you can get a glass and you can program it with an intention, with some self-love, with whatever you want. And then as you sip on that water all day, you're going to be taking that vibration in, and then that vibration that you take in will start to change the vibration of the water in your body. So I thought I'd just lead us through a very short water blessing together. So if you want to pick up your glass of water, I always like to kind of hold it close to my heart and put your hands around it like it's like a good friend. And when you feel ready, just close down your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths at your own pace, just to really sink into your body, sink into the present moment. Put your feet on the floor, just connect yourself to Mother Earth. And then picture the crown of your head connecting up to Father Sky. And then I want you to picture this golden light coming down from Father Sky into the top of your head. And down through your head, your face, your throat, and letting that light settle in your heart. And then from your feet, I want you to picture a nice red campfire kind of color light. And bring that up from Mother Earth, up into your feet, up into your legs, your hips, your womb, your belly, and up into your heart. And let that golden light and that fire light mingle in your heart. And now that we've got this beautiful congruence between the earth, the divine, and ourselves, I want you to think for a moment, what is one quality that I want to magnetize into my life, into my communities, into my connection with myself? Maybe it's more peace. Maybe it's more joy. Maybe it's more play. Maybe it's more ease. Just think for a moment of that emotion that it evokes. And once you have what you're looking to magnetize into your life, attract more into your life, down to one word, I want you to slowly whisper it into your cup of water. And now I want you to see that word written across your heart space. And I want you to take a few deep breaths and just breathe that word from your heart into your glass of water, into every single molecule of water in that glass. Visualize the word floating in your cup. Maybe it's got a color associated with it. Fill that water with that color as well. And when you feel a little tingle in your hands, or you just can see that word everywhere in your glass, or the color everywhere in your glass, when it feels so real, I want you to take a sip and visualize that word, that color, that feeling trickling down your throat and spreading out into every cell in your body. And every cell in your body, all the water that's involved in that cell, your blood, every single molecule of water in your body is now beginning to vibrate to that word, to that intention, to that energy. And I invite you to keep this glass of water that you've charged and make sure you drink it throughout the rest of the day or the evening whenever you're catching this recording, and maybe even give a little bit of it to a favorite plant or a pet. And take one more sip. And then very slowly start to come back into the room that you're sitting in. You can wiggle your legs, your toes, your hands, your arms. And when you're ready, you can float open your eyes and join us back in the circle. So that's a little bit of how you can work with water magic. I hope you found it as enjoyable as I do. Hey, Angela.
Okay, so I want you to visualize yourself sitting on a beach, holding a cup of cacao, watching the sun rise, and feeling the warmth on your skin. And you're going to breathe in, and you're going to smell the cacao, and you're going to feel connected to earth, and you're going to feel supported by the circle of heart-centered women that are surrounding you on that beach. And you're going to hear the sound of the waves crashing, and you're going to sit there and you're going to have no cares in the world, because this is about you. This is about your journey. This is about who you are at your core. And you have food provided for you that's all locally sourced and healthy, so you're going to be fueling your body. And at the same time, we're going to be fueling your spirit through our different ceremonies that we're going to be holding. And we're going to challenge you to step out of your comfort zone. And every day we're going to do different events that are going to make you laugh. We're going to have impromptu dance parties. And the whole point of this is to really just give you a chance to get away from the everyday and focus on you and who you are. And come back recharged and ready to move into the next chapter of your life. And we've chosen this first retreat to be in the beautiful, beautiful jungle of Costa Rica. And we will be staying at a boutique resort called the Goddess Garden. And it's actually on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica, so it's not in the touristy side, it's on the other side. There is a private beach. We have our own pool, we have our own spa, we have our own sloth who hangs out with us. And everything that you need is going to be provided to you, so you'll have no cares. We're taking care of the transportation, we're taking care of all the activities. We've got a bunch of surprises for you, gift bags with lots of little goodies in them for you to take home. And it's just an opportunity to learn and grow and be. And you have Kat and I there who, as you've seen through our presentations and just our stories, are coming at life from different angles and providing you with totally different scenarios and different ways of being. And you can determine, what works best for you and which is best for you. And I mean, in the end, it is all about you. And that's what we want. That's our gift to you. And so we're hoping that you will see that as a gift and gift yourself this as well.
The reason that we called it Explore Your Elemental Essence is each one of us, when we were born, based on our astrology, we are one or two, but usually one predominant element. So you're either a fire person, a water person, an earth person, or a air person. And so we're going to walk you through your chart at the beginning of the week so that you can, see what that looks like, and also encourage you to feel intuitively into what that element might be. And then each day is going to be focused on a different element completely. So ceremonies will be uh, that element. Our play for the day will be focused on that element. Our learning for the day will be focused on that element. So not only are you going to get to learn yourself at a deeper level, but you're also going to learn ways to support that element, to balance it, to use all four of them just in your everyday life. Just get out of that like rat race and really come back to using the cycles of nature and the elements of nature. Um, Bring peace and calm and flow into your life. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And that is just our little share at the end of the presentation. I am going to take questions now, but we'll stop the recording. And so for those of you who are catching the replay and if you have questions, email us, DM us, flag us down when you see us in real life. We're happy to chat. If you've got questions about the retreat, we're happy to chat. We really hope that you'll join us, and we really hope that you got something out of tonight, and would love to see you live next week for Feeling Unfulfilled, because it's really nice to be able to have you at the Q&A at the end. So with that, I am going to stop the recording, and then we can dive into our Q&A. So 1 second. There we go. Okay, thanks for joining us, everyone. See you next week.